Now let's continue. All right. So today, last video, we rounded up the first half of Detective Joe's investigation after he had taken the ball from Detective Pagan, who was the original responding officer. We have looked through some of the evidence that had been picked up from the trash bowls. Trash bowls, for those who are just joining us for this video, if this is your first video, highly recommend pause. Go back to the very first video as we started from when we started the report, so you're able to follow through all along. Just to let you know, we are going through the original investigative notes from Palm Beach Police County for Jeffrey Epstein. We are going page by page of the 89 pages that were written by Palm Beach Police Report as they originally investigated him in 2005. Why we're starting from this point is because a lot of people don't realize that the decisions and the injustice that we all saw happen in 2019 was directly from the decisions and the actions of the state attorney's office in 2005. So throughout this process, I am going to be taking you chronologically through the timeline from the original investigation into the grand jury, the actual grand jury trials, the MPA, and the civil suits that continued after. So we're able to really understand and expose what happened behind the Epstein files. Now, in the very first video, we start the report and we list the 17 different victims that were spoken to at first by Palm Beach. So we all know there's way more than 17 victims. We have one 14-year-old Sally, who up to this date still remains anonymous and has chosen to remain anonymous, which we do respect. We have 6 victims who are 16 years old, 5 victims who are 17, 4 who are 18, and 1 that is 19. We have also met Haley Robson, who was also in the Jeffrey Epstein Filthy Rich documentary as well. And she was seen as the she was painted as a villain, but Haley Robson was contacted by Epstein when she was a minor too, who wasn't able to get consent, though she did bring 6 girls over. So where we are right now, Detective Joe has spoken to Haley Robson for the first time, and he has identified 5 girls, underaged girls of victims that she had brought to Epstein's house that he's trying to interview and contact. We know that in this investigation, there is 3 suspects: Haley Robson, 18, Sarah Kellan, 25, and Jeffrey Epstein. I think I kind of narrowed over the important stuff that we went through. Once again, this, ladies and gentlemen, is just some of the trash pull evidence that was pulled by during the investigation against Jeffrey Epstein. That's what we looked at as well, and that was from video number 2. So this is a 3rd installment. So you see, blank paper's phone number. Blank paper phone number, as Officer Lee was telling us during his last report, which was the last report we finished. And today we will be starting with Officer Rakery's report. Sorry, I lost my spot, and that's just after this. This is the ending of number 2. Here we go to narrative number 9 of the Palm Beach Police reports. Once again, if you have not had the chance to hit that subscribe button, now is your chance. Make sure you're able to hit that button so you can follow along and know all the notes. I am keeping the PG version of this report on YouTube's, but a Substack has been created for all those people who want to know the facts and avoid the rhetoric. Head over to the Substack. On the Substack, not only do I have a more fuller version of the entire report that we go through it, I am also going to be uploading the documents themselves so you can have them for yourself and read through as well for yourselves. Members will be able to download those documents to go. Thank you so much for supporting this mission to give the victims their voices back and unearth the truth and reveal what truly happened behind the Epstein files. Let's get to it.
Welcome back to the Unredacted Truth, where we fill in the missing gaps in the world's largest scandals and mysteries. In a world of rumors and theories, my job is simple: uncovering the truth underneath the glitter and the grime. We are exposing a pattern: protection, power, predators, structures built not on justice, but on silence, fear, and impunity. We're not talking theory, we're talking court records, stamps, dates, testimony, and a system that, to this day, continues to fail the public and protect the predators among us. Let's get to it.
Okay, ladies and gents, and those in between, here we go. So we go narrative number 9. This is a report entered by Office Detective Joseph Ricari. Yeah, tendency of making things more complicated than they are. So I'm going to call him Detective Joe. Moving on through it. And then again, when we do speak of the minor victim at all, like victim A, who was 14, her name will be Sally for the purposes of this investigation and this report. Let's go on to continue. So, Detective Joe writes, on October 4th, 2005, I made telephone contact with Redacted, who left several messages on the voicemail. During the message, she advised she was not completely truthful when we met in person, but would like to speak with me to advise what had happened. So it looks like this is another victim, Redacted, because she's a minor, I presume. She further advised she did not want to speak of this incident in front of her mother. Double. Approximately 3:48 p.m. or 1500 hours, 48. I don't know how to say that. 15:48 p.m., which is like 3:48 if I'm correct. No, sorry, that's 1:48. 12-hour clock, 12:1. I don't know. Correct me the thingies. I don't. Yeah, 3 p.m. Mama needs a nap. I made telephone contact with mother at approximately 1:58. Okay, let's just restart that. Okay, let's continue. On October 4th, 2005, I made contact with Redacted, who had left several messages on voicemail. During the message, she advised she had not been completely truthful when we met in person, but would like to speak with me to advise what happened. She further advised she did not want to speak of this incident in front of her mother. Understandable. So on this day, on October 4, 2005, Detective Joe received multiple messages from a victim saying, hey, I wasn't completely honest. I want to meet up with you and speak again. This is a different victim. Victim A, the 14-year-old, same process. They gave incidents slowly by slowly by slowly. Why I keep bringing this up is because the awful prosecutor who was a state attorney, Lana, tried to use this as showing that it was credibility problems between the victims. And so trying to get Epstein's case thrown up. That's another villain. But we'll get there eventually with due time. So it goes on to say, at approximately 15:48 p.m., 1500 hours and 48 minutes. So that's about 1:48, I believe. I made telephone contact with the victim. And during a tape recorded statement, she stated the following. Approximately a year ago, when she was 16 years of age, we know we have 6 of the 17 victims he spoke with. During the 2005 investigation were 16. So this is one of them. So the victim goes on to tell Detective Joe that approximately a year ago, when she was 16 years of age, Robson took her to Jeff's house twice. The first time she went, Haley Robson drove to the house. They entered through the kitchen area again, where she was introduced to Sarah, Kellan, and Jeff. She was taken upstairs to a bedroom by Sarah Kellan, who set the room up with a massage bed and brought out the oils to use. Jeff then entered the room wearing a towel, same story as the others. He lay on the table and picked out the lotion, same story, to rub on him. At one point during the massage, she tried to remove her shirt, at which point she became very upset and discontinued the massage. Both the victim and Jeffrey had a verbal disagreement, at which time she left without being paid. She met with Haley Robson, who was sitting in the kitchen, and told her, let's go. The victim advised she received no money for that day. The victim also said that Haley Robson had told her if she was uncomfortable with what was going on, to let him know and he'll stop. The more You do. She knew that the more you do, the more you're paid. So this part goes closer to Haley's credibility, not trying to discredit like the 14-year-old again. She was scared. Not putting any blame on her. She was 14. But her testimony was, I had no idea what was going on. Like, I didn't know what I was going for. I thought I was just going with Haley. And then I was surprised. But it looks like while Haley says no, every single girl, I made sure I told them exactly what to expect. So this goes through credibility because this is another girl saying, yes, Haley told me everything. And actually, now that I think about it, I believe Sally might have also changed the story that like Haley told her the more you do, the better. Or maybe I'm getting confused. So let's stop and keep going. So Detective Joe's notes continue that several weeks later, the victim advised she agreed to take a second time. She agreed to be taken a second time by Haley Robson. When she arrived at the residence, Haley sat in the kitchen and Sarah Kellan took her, formerly Kensington till she got divorced. She's Sarah Kellan. I don't like the woman. I do not approve of her. In the kitchen, and Sarah Kellan took her upstairs to the master bedroom again. Sarah Kellan set the room up with a massage bed and brought out the oils to use. Jeffrey then entered the room wearing a towel. He lay on the table and picked out a lotion for the victim to rub on him. At one point during the massage, she tried to touch her butt. As the victim was wearing tight jeans and had a tight belt on, Jeff was unable to touch her butt. Jeff then rolled onto his back during the massage. The victim then became upset again and told him she didn't want to be touched. The victim discontinued the massage and was paid $200. The victim then went downstairs where Haley Robson was waiting for her. She told Robson she wanted to leave. The victim says she never returned to the house. The victim stated she's aware that her friend was also at the house and had a problem with Jeff. She provided a telephone number for her friend. The interview was concluded and the microcassette were turned into evidence. Detective Joe's notes then go on to say, on October 5th, 2005, I researched the telephone number that had left a message. The telephone number was assigned to an AT&T singular cellular device. I prepared a subpoena request and faxed the request to the state attorney's office. Information requested was subscriber information as well as all incoming and outgoing calls for the months of September and October 2005. So at this point, it looks like he is requesting more telephone information subpoenas for a victim. He goes on to say, I later researched Redacted and discovered she lives where she lives. Detective Dawson and I drove and met with her at her residence. Okay. So he researches another victim, and him and Detective Dawson go to meet her. So the victim agreed to speak with us in the kitchen area. During a sworn statement, the victim stated the following. On or about November 2004, she was approached by Haley Robson and asked if she wanted to make money. So this is another victim. So should we say victim number 3? At this point, Haley has 5. So this is, I believe 3. I've lost count. She agreed and was told she provided a massage to a wealthy man in Palm Beach. Robson picked her up and drove her to a house in Palm Beach. She was brought into the kitchen area of the house. She further stated that, so 2 more other minors, I deduce, because it's redacted, went with them. They were brought into the kitchen where she was introduced to Jeff and other females. She stated she was introduced to a helper of Jeff. The female was described as white female unknown name with blonde hair. We all know who that was. Sarah Kellan was also used as the one to entice Virginia. I believe because of her age, like Ghislaine played like the maternal, nurturing mother. I'm here to like take care of you or your troubled youth kind of thing. Like I'll be your mommy. Sarah Kellan's job was to not only train the girls on how to recruit, because she was the one who directly trained Virginia, but it seems for her job at being 25 was like the cool girl. Like, see, like you can be cool like me if you do it, like kind of like making it seem like it's okay for these little girls to be taken away by pervert. Anyway, I deduce. Let's continue. So the victim continued on to say, that she stated that the assistant was familiar with Robson. So we obviously know this assistant is Sarah Kellan, formerly Kensington. Kensington left her. She got divorced and went back to Kellan. I don't know what she's doing with her life right now, but she should be in jail. Continuing on, the assistant, Sarah Kellan, set up the massage table and put out lotions to be used. She told the victim Jeff would be available in a minute. Jeff entered the room wearing only a towel. Jeff lay on the massage table and picked up a lotion to rub on his thighs and back. Same story. Sarah Kellan leaves him upstairs. Jeff walks in. He picks out what to use on him. The victim further stated that during the massage, Jeff asked her to remove her clothes. She complied and removed her pants and blouse. The victim didn't remember if she had removed her bra, but feels that she did. The victim was certain that she stayed in her thong underwear. The victim continued the massage, and at one point she straddled him to massage his back, which touched his butt with hers. This story mirrors Sally, victim A, 14-year-old's experience. So the victim was instructed to return to the ground, at which time Jeff turned to have his chest rubbed. The victim advised it was at this time she is sure he was baiting. The victim did not want to look at his pee area because she was uncomfortable. Jeff removed a large white massager and turned it on. The victim stated he began rubbing the massager over her thong underwear on her. Shortly thereafter, Jeff ejaculated and removed himself from the table. He walked over to where the shower was and opened the glass door. She waited as he was taking a shower in her direct view. When I asked the victim how old she was when this occurs, she stated she had just turned 17. So she was 16, just turned 17. At the conclusion of the shower, the victim was paid $350 or $400. She stated she wasn't sure, but knows it was close to $400. At the conclusion of the interview, the victim stated she never returned to provide a massage for Jeff. She advised she was ashamed and uncomfortable with this situation. Next page continues with Detective Joe's report is continuing. Detective Dawson and I then left the area and responded to where Robson and all the above mentioned girls had attended. So this is the school they attended. I met with a school police officer, Officer Williams. I explained I was looking for a previous student who attended the school. I inquired about her name. I further explained that I was working a case in which most of the girls I have interviewed are either witnesses or victims, and felt that she may be one as well. Officer Williams researched his previous student records and found the victim. She attended the same year and graduated in the same year as the other girls. I was provided the last name and address. So I mean, this is victim number 4 of who Haley Robson had sent at this point, right? At approximately 2:10 p.m., Detective Dawson and I met with Redacted at her residence. As she was only 17 years of age, I notified her mother, Mrs. Blank, that she would be interviewed, referenced an ongoing investigation in Palm Beach. I assured her that her daughter was not a suspect. I explained the possibility of her being either a witness or a victim. The mother advised she wanted her daughter to cooperate and consented to the interview. During a sworn statement, she stated the following. At the age of 16, during the month of September 2004, she was approached by Haley Robson for a chance to make money. She was friends with the friends of Robson and knew the same people. She had been previously told by her friends what Robson did for Jeff. Robson called a person known to her as Sarah Kellan, and scheduled the appointment. Robson picked her up and drove her to Palm Beach to a street called Brea Way. They drove to the end of the street and entered a large driveway. They entered the kitchen area. Again, all the victim stories are identical. Kitchen area and met with Jeff. She was introduced to Jeff. Robson led her upstairs to the main bedroom area and set up the room with a massage table and set out the oils. Robson dimmed the lights and turned on soft music. Robson exited the room and Jeff entered the room wearing only a towel. Jeff picked up oils and instructed her to rub his legs, under his butt, bucks, back and chest area. Jeff asked her to get comfortable. She advised she did not remove her clothes. She was wearing tight jeans and a crop tank top exposing her belly area. During the massage, Jeff removed his towel. As she rubbed his chest area, Jeff attempted to reach down her pants through the butt area. However, wasn't able to due to the tightness of the jeans and a tight belt. She advised Jeff began to bait as she rubbed his chest. Jeff moaned as she rubbed his chest. She observed he was continuing to bait and attempted to reach up her tank top and touch her breast. She pulled back and Jeff stopped. However, he kept baiting until he climaxed. He cleaned himself with the towel he was previously wearing. I asked her if she knew the difference between circumcised and not circumcised. She explained she knew and advised Jeff was circumcised. Well, he was Jewish, so he should have been. And then it goes on to say she was paid $200 for the massage and left the area. She met with Robson, who was waiting in the kitchen area, and left the house. So it's weird. How was she? Her story is pretty much similar to the other girl, but she was only paid $200 while the other girl was paying $400. Let me not go into like digesting the victim trauma and what actually happened. And again, remember, a lot of the girls don't really want to state everything that happened. But I assume that there's a difference between the levels of 200, who gets $200, who gets $300, who gets $350, and who gets $400. It's probably based off what you do for him, and not everybody wanted to like spill all their tea. Anywho, the report continues to say, same victim. The victim then explains she never provided another massage for Jeff. She'd, however, go to the house with Robson and another victim as they took another friend of Robson's. She advised she was present when another victim went to work for Jeff. She advised she rode over and sat in the kitchen area with Robson to wait for another victim. She advised that while they waited for the victim, the house chef prepared lunch for them as it was almost lunchtime. When the other victim that they had taken there was finished with the massage, they left the area. I asked her if Robson ever told her what would be expected of her when she provided a massage. She stated yes. Robson told her the massage would be expected, possibly naked, and possibly some touching involved. She has no formal training in providing the massage. So again, it goes to Haley Robson's credibility, goes to all the victims' credibility, because he's not talking to them all at the same time. But every freaking story is the same. You go to the house, you go to the kitchen, maybe the chef's there, maybe the chef's not, Sarah is there. This one time, they take you upstairs, he comes out in a towel, he tells you what to use for himself, and then blah, blah, you get paid. Identical. So the last paragraph of this says, she spoke about a third and last time she went to Jeff's house. Robson drove another girl. They're all friends. These girls all go to the same high school, expected. They're all friends. So Robson takes another girl to Jeff's house. She stated she knew that Robson had made money providing girls for Jeff, and she wanted to do the same. Robson took them into the kitchen area of the house and introduced the other girl to Sarah. Robson and Sarah took the girl upstairs to the main bedroom. She advised she doesn't know what happened, as the other girl did not speak about what happened in the room. She received $100 from Robson for going with her to Jeff's house. And so this victim was also getting on the tip of taking other girls. She's like, I don't want a massage, but I'll take girls over there. It looks like she's stating of another time when they took another girl, and this time she got 100. Maybe Haley probably got the other 100. So she was unable to remember the phone number, and then the interview concluded at that time. Robson and Sarah took the other girl upstairs. This one stayed downstairs, doesn't know what happened. The other girl never talked about it again. She got $100. I would think Haley probably got some money too for it as well. Okay, now we go on to narrative number 10, and this one is Officer Joe once again. Okay, narrative 10. Detective Joe again writes, on October 6, 2005, Detective Dawson and I went to Redacted, located where we met the dean of students. So this is at a college. It looks like dean of students would be a college, not a high school. We explained to him that we're investigating a crime within the town of Palm Beach and felt that a student may have information. He confirmed that there is a student with that name currently on the soccer team for blank. She was in computer class at the time of our arrival. Oh, if we're at time of our arrival, he sent a security guard to locate her in class and bring her to the office. The dean allowed us to interview her in an empty conference room. Okay, so it looks like the dean and the school wanted to remain anonymous. We do know that MIT was also involved in the investigation. They did do a report about how they work with Epstein, so I'm not sure exactly what school it is. I'm just thinking MIT because they say she was in a computer class. Again, recall in the last video, we showed you the note that said, we'll come after soccer. Let me get that for you one more time just to refresh your memory. Here we go. Blaine cannot come at 7 p.m. tomorrow because of soccer. So here's the note. So this is what they're talking about. We're in victim number 5, I believe, of Robson's. Okay, so Detective Joe, continue. He went to the dean, identified there is a student by a certain name who is in the soccer team, who corresponds with a note saying she can't come because of soccer. Detective Joe writes, at 11:45 a.m., I met with blank and explained to her why we were there. So the victim, soccer victim, we'll call her soccer victim. She advised she was aware of the ongoing investigation. She stated she had previously spoken with Redacted, so another victim, who told her that she was interviewed by detectives. During a sworn tape statement, she stated she knew that Haley Robson worked for Jeff in Palm Beach. She advised she advised she's been there many times for massages. I asked her if she had formal training in providing massages. She stated she did not. She advised she was told that she was expected what was expected of her by providing massages and would have to remove clothing. But if she felt uncomfortable, just to say so, and Jeff would stop pushing the issue. She began providing massages and advised she kept her clothes on. She considered Jeff a pervert who kept pushing to go further and further. She explained that she would keep telling him she had a boyfriend and that it would not be right for her boyfriend. It wasn't until recently she admitted to removing her clothes and staying in her thong underwear to provide a massage. So all of them start with like denying that they're like the extent of what they did, and then as they keep talking they revealed more, and I think that's also like an odd to the officers. I wasn't there. I am just assuming, this is my opinion, that both Detective Joe and Detective Pagan made each of the victims comfortable enough that they were able to kind of like reveal more and more details the more they talk to them. Detective Jones continued that the victim, soccer victim, explained Jeff wanted to be rubbed on his back, and recently he began turning over to have her rub his chest as he baited. He would try to touch her breast as she rubbed his chest. She stated Jeff would try to get away with more and more on each massage. Originally, Robson drove her to the house for the original massage. She left Sarah Kellan her cell phone number, and every time Jeff would come into town, Sarah Kellan would call her for her appointment. Each time she went, Sarah Kellan would meet her at the kitchen door area. She would bring her upstairs and prepare the massage table. She, soccer victim, advised Jeff would ask her questions about herself. He knew she was a soccer player and would be attending this college. I asked her if she knew her real age, if he knew her real age. She stated Jeff didn't care. The most recent massage she provided was on October 1st, 2005. I believe this is dated, this is around October 4th or 5th. This is still in October that he's writing this. So she had literally like a week, a few days ago, been there for a massage. It continues to say, during the massage, she asked Jeff if she could borrow one of his vehicles to visit her family and boyfriend in Orlando. Jeff had told her she could borrow one of his vehicles, but later stated he would rent her a car. Okay, so this is the person who the victim, the original one that he was interviewing, says she had told her about the police reports because she had called her to say Jeff just got her car, whatever. They're friends, all friends. But now we know the connections, right? So was it 2? Yeah, in the previous video number 2, when Detective Joe is interviewing one of the girls, she states that she had accidentally told another victim about the investigation and the detectives because that victim had called her to let her know that Jeff just rented her a new car, a silver Nissan or something like that. All right, so we continue on. So she continued with the massage. Wait. Okay, then he told her, so Jeffrey said he would rent her a car. She continued with the massage as Jeff grabbed her butt and caressed the butt cheeks. I asked her if she was wearing undergarments, to which she replied her thong underwear. Once he tried to touch her breast, she would pull away from him and he would stop. She was asked if he ever used a massager on her, and she was aware of the massager, but I advised she never would allow him to use it on her. She described it as a large and white with a huge head on the tip of it in the tip of it. She stated he kept the massager in a closet near the massage table. She advised she had been doing the massage for approximately 2 years. She meant she would have started doing massages for Jeff at the age of 16. So now she's in college or university and she's 18, I believe, at this point that she's talking to Detective Joe, and she has a car for him. Stalker victim goes on to state that she was contacted by Sarah Kellan. For those who are listening and not reading, it says Sarah, but I insist on saying her full name and saying it loud so remember her and her sins throughout this. So the victim stated she was contacted by Sarah Kellan on October 3rd, 2005. Sarah had informed her that Jeff had rented her a new Nissan Sentra, and she should come by the house. Yeah, I remember correctly. It was a silver Nissan Sentra. So she should come by the house to pick it up. Sarah Kellan informed the victim she would have the car for a month. The victim stated Jeff knew her car was not working properly and had missed appointments in the past because of her car being inoperable. She explained the car is currently parked next to the gym field. I asked her if she ever took anyone to the house. She explained she took blank, a friend of hers who had returned to Orlando to attend college. I asked if she ever allowed another female in the room. The victim advised no one was brought into the room with her. At the conclusion of the interview, Detective Dawson and I went to the gym area and located the silver Nissan Sentra bearing Florida tags. The vehicle is registered to Dollar Rent-A-Car out of the Palm Beach International Airport. Telephone contact was made with Redacted, the victim's mother, at Redacted. I explained to her that I was following up on this case and provided a complete update on the case. Investigation continues. Okay, let's go on. Again, it's Detective Ricari, and we're still in October. Okay, now Detective Joe has taken us to October 10th, 2005, and he writes, at approximately 2:30 p.m., I made telephone contact with Redacted, another victim. During a taped conversation, she was told of an ongoing investigation in which I felt she had information pertaining to Jeffrey Epstein. She explained she met Epstein when she was just 16 years of age, another 16-year-old. Looks like 14 was the youngest with Rob. Well, that actually, the whole 16 range could just be that's who Haley had access to. And then the youngest, 14, but that's because she was dating Robson's cousin or something. That's how she got access to it. But remember, Robson said Epstein liked them young. The younger, the better. Guess the youngest she could do was 16. She tried to bring a 23-year-old and he shooed her away. Okay, we continue. So this one was also 16. She was approached by Redacted, another victim, a friend who also had previously gone to Epstein's house for massages. She advised she was working at the Wellington Mall. Oh, remember? Excuse me. The first time he tried to contact this one, she was at the mall. So she was working at Wellington Mall. I think this is victim number 5 for Robson. Wellington Mall, when she was approached, she was told the other one, someone told her, who was also a redacted underage victim, told her that she would have to provide a massage to Epstein. I believe this is the one, why it's redacted. I think she was the one who was brought over, and then the other girl made $100. Because the other girl said she went, thought it was weird, and then wanted to just bring girls. And then she went with Robson and another girl, and on that trip, she made $100 and didn't have to massage. So I'm thinking this is the one who was taken upstairs to get massage, but never spoke about it again. So we keep going. So she was approached by the other victim and told to make money when she was still working at Wellington Mall. Next is she agreed to perform. So where the other victim told her that she would have to provide a massage to Epstein and she would have to perform this massage naked. She thought about the offer and stated she could make $200 for only 30 minutes of work. She agreed to perform the massage and they set the appointment for her that same day. She remembered it was a weekend as she only worked at the mall on the weekends. The victim took her to the house where she was introduced to Sarah, Jeff Epstein's assistant. Sarah Kellan took her upstairs to the master bedroom, explained that as she was walking up the stairs, she observed several photographs of naked women along the walls and tables of the house. She further explained that she was brought into the bedroom where Sarah prepared the room by setting up the massage table and provided the oils for her to rub on Epstein. Epstein entered the room and introduced himself. Epstein lay on the table and told her to get comfortable. She could not remember if she was naked or if he entered the room with a towel. Oh, she could not remember if he was naked or if he entered the room with a towel. She stated she provided the massage wearing only her panties. She continued rubbing his legs, thighs, and feet. She advised he turned over onto his back. She continued to rub his legs with the oils. I asked her if she knew what circumcised and uncircumcised meant. She said that circumcised is when the penis has no foreskin and the head of the penis is visible. She said Epstein is circumcised. She began to cry on the telephone and stated she had been to his house hundreds of times over a 2-year period. She claimed to have made thousands of dollars during her visit. She stated she could not remember how many times exactly she went to Epstein's house, but it was a lot. Poor girl, like the shame, the embarrassment, the panic. She became more upset, crying hysterically, and stated she was paid and instructed to have sex with Epstein's assistant Nadia Marchinkova by Epstein. Epstein continued to watch them have sex and baited himself as they had sex with each other. She further stated that things escalated further and further. Epstein used toys such as the massages, rubber strap-on on her. Additionally, she stated he performed on her numerous times. Oh my God, like crying, like all the trauma and all the things like coming out. She couldn't stop. It was like verbal diarrhea. She claimed Epstein, put his fingers inside her while he baited in an attempt to make her climax. She could not continue and wanted some time to regain her composure. I explained to her to take her time. After several minutes to regain her composure, I explained that I would travel to meet with her in person as I felt she had additional information to provide. I met with Surgeon Frick and explained the importance to meet with her in person. Surgeon Frick agreed and made arrangements for Detective Dawson and I to meet with her. The letter continues to say, on October 11, 2005, so the next day, at 4 p.m., Detective Dawson and I met with her and her friend, who she wanted to be present for support. I explained to her that I did not have a problem as long as she wanted her present during the interview. She stated she wanted her friend present. I explained that as the friend was present, she was not allowed to comment or ask any questions during the interview. She was only there to comfort her should the interview upset her. During the sworn statement, the victim explained how everything happened. She was brought to the kitchen area where she met Sarah Kellan, for the first time. She was led to the master bedroom, Epstein's room. The victim explained that as she was walking up the stairs, she observed several photographs of naked women along the walls and tables of the house. She further explained that she was brought into the bedroom where Sarah Kellan prepared the room by setting up the massage table and provided the oils for her to rub on Epstein. She explained she remembered the steam room area, which contained 2 large showers. Epstein entered the room from the steam room area and introduced himself. Epstein lay on the table and told her to get comfortable. She removed her skirt and kept her shirt on. She could not remember if she was naked or if he entered the room with a towel. She could not remember if he was naked or if he entered the room with a towel. Epstein then instructed her to remove her shirt. She removed her shirt and remembered she was not wearing a bra. She stated she provided the massage wearing only her panties. She continued rubbing his legs, thighs, and feet. She advised he turned over onto his back. She continued to rub his legs with oils. Epstein touched her breasts and began to bait Epstein, which meant the massage was over. At the conclusion of the massage, she was paid $200. They walked together downstairs where Sarah Kellan and the other girl were waiting. She stated that the other girl received an unknown amount of money for taking her to Epstein. I think that's the $100. Epstein instructed to leave her cell phone number so that she could contact her when he is in town. Then it continues to say, she explained that she continued to go to Epstein's house and became a regular at the house. She could not provide an exact number, but claimed she had been there hundreds of times. She claimed sexual activity did not occur every time she was there. There were times she went to dinners and parties with Epstein. She explained that things began to escalate more than the massage. The encounters included bringing in his assistant Nadia Marchinkova. The victim explained Epstein had purchased her from her family in Yugoslavia. That's one thing I have to bring. So Nadia Marchinkova wrongly, has also been put on the same level, not as Ghislaine, but as Sarah Kellan. But the difference here is Nadia was literally purchased as a child. I mean, she was like 14 or could be even younger from her parents in Yugoslavia. And this victim is not the first person to say that Epstein bragged about Nadia being a sex slave. Anyway, it continues on to say, Epstein bragged he brought her into the United States to be his Yugoslavian sex slave. This was like Nadia was brought to the country when she was a kid, like 14 or something. Anyway, so this victim continues to speak. So the victim advised he was naked in the bedroom. She entered and removed her clothing. Marchinkova entered the room from the steam room area already naked. He instructed the victim to perform on Marchinkova. The victim refused to perform the act. Epstein offered her an additional $200 for her to perform on Marchinkova for 5 minutes. The victim agreed to perform for the additional $200. The victim explained that Epstein would bait while he watched them perform the acts. Now it goes on to say, things continue to escalate by purchasing toys. The victim stated that she had massages, vibes, strap-on rubber used on her. Each time something new was introduced, additional monies were produced and offered for the victim to allow the acts to happen. The victim was adamant that she performs all these acts, but there was an understanding with Epstein that no penetration would occur with his. She explained that Epstein's was deformed. She explained that his was oval-shaped. She explained when Epstein's was erect, it was thick towards the bottom, but was thin and small toward the head portion. She called it egg-shaped. I think some of us have seen that interview of him getting asked about this egg shape, and then he gets mad, like takes off the thing and walks away. I'll insert it here for us, for all those who haven't seen it, this interview. The nasty. Anyway, the police report goes on to write that the victim advised that one day she was unable to state the exact date when this incident occurred. She came to the house after Sarah had informed her that Epstein had arrived. She arrived at the house and went upstairs to the master bedroom. She advised she immediately removed her clothing as Nadia Marchinkova and Epstein were already naked in the bedroom. She explained that Nadia Merchikova and she had encountered to include kissing, touching, and she remembered that she was removing herself from the massage table. She asked for a sheet of paper and drew the massage table in the master bedroom where Epstein and Marchkova and she were. Epstein turned her on her stomach on the massage and inserted his into her. She stated Epstein began to pump his in her. The victim became upset over this. She said her head was being held against the bed forcibly. As he continued to pump inside her, she screamed no, and Epstein stopped. She told him that she did not want to have him inside of her. Epstein apologized for this action and subsequently paid her $1,000 for that visit. $1,000 was obviously for the silence. Because that is like aggravated R. Like for those on actually no, that is aggravated for those of my on Substack that can listen to it. If you're on YouTube, there's gonna be a bit of like blanks as I'm trying to like keep the sensitive stuff off the YouTube streets, but let's continue. So additionally, shortly thereafter, Epstein gave her a 2005 Dodge Neon blue in color for personal use. So for violently harm, he gave her $1,000 and a car. I don't know if she was still 16 even at this time because this started when she was 16. So the victim advised there are times that she was so sore when she left Epstein's house. She advised she was ripped, torn in her area. She advised she had difficulty walking to the car after leaving the house because she was so sore. She advised that other than that one time when Epstein inserted his inside her, there was no other intercourse. She provided names of girls that she knew of that had gone to Epstein's house. She provided the name of Redacted and feels she still may be going to the house to massage Epstein. According to and is still sucking his D. When asked if she was recently contacted by anyone of the house, the victim advised she received an email from seller Sarah Kellan from Kellan at earthlink.net. I don't know if she still has that email. If she has that email, send. I didn't say anything. I am not telling. She needs to go to jail. Okay, Sarah. So from Kellan at earthlink.net, which is her email account. The email was just a hello, how are you doing type of email. There had been no other contact from the house. The interview was concluded and the victim left the area. The tapes and drawing were submitted into evidence. Not sure they got her to draw, but okay, there was a tape. There was recordings that were submitted, and she gave new names. And I believe this is victim number 5 from Haley Robson. And in addition to to Sally, the 14-year-old, makes 6 victims that Haley brought to the house herself between the ages of 17 and 18 when she was contacted by Epstein at first. Okay, Detective Joe's notes then continue, and it states, on October 12, 2005, Detective Dawson and I, this is narrative number 12. Excuse me, popped a couple chips in there. So it goes on to say, on October 12, 2005, Detective Dawson and I traveled to the Orlando area and made telephone contact with Redacted. This looks to be a new victim. She agreed to meet with us as we were in the Orlando area. He just went from Palm Beach to Orlando. So these officers and detectives, they are investigating, they are traveling, they are doing the work. So then it goes on to say, so the victim, she provided directions to her apartment. But I wonder if she's the 19-year-old. Detective Dawson and I met with her. Detective Dawson and I met with the victim, who stated during a sworn tape statement that nothing happened between her and Epstein. She appeared nervous during the interview. I assured her that I had spoken with other people who advised differently. She stated she only went a couple of times and provided massages to Epstein. See how these kids are like so nervous to say anything happened? She stated she was brought to the Epstein house in March of 2005. That's during the investigation. March 2005 is an investigation happening. She was brought there to work. She has no formal training in providing massages. She stated she provided a massage fully clothed for $200. As I sense hesitancy in her answers, I asked if she had been contacted by anyone from the house. She stated she was interviewed already by an investigator for Epstein. He met with her on October 8th at a roadhouse in Orlando. He identified himself as Paul and inquired about the police investigation and left his cell phone number for additional information. She provided additional contact as it appeared her responses were almost scripted. We left the area and returned to Palm Beach police. So they had, by the time he made it to Orlando to speak with her, Epstein had already sent someone ahead of the time who had already told her what to answer and how to answer it. That's how Detective Joe anyway felt that her answers were scripted, but she's the one who said, hey, Epstein already sent someone here that I spoke to. She goes on to say, Detective Reckery's Detective Joe's notes continue to say, based on the information acquired during the interviews, a search warrant was prepared for entry at the Epstein home. On October 18, 2005, I met with Judge Laura Johnson, who reviewed the warrant request. She found there was sufficient probable cause and signed the warrant request. On October 20th, 2005, at approximately 9:36 a.m., members of the Palm Beach Police Investigations Unit executed the search warrant at 358 Abrea Way in Palm Beach. Members of the investigations unit included Captain Gudger, Sergeant Frick, Detective Dix, Detective Dawson, Detective Melanie Chuck, Detective Salmon, Detective Kroll, the crime scene unit, and myself. As we entered into the property, we encountered the house manager, or Giannis. It's Giannis who was in the guest portion of the house. The guest house section had open doors and no forced entry was made. I made contact with Jan. Date of birth is 1953 and informed him of the search warrant for the premises. Members of the police department entered the residence and announced we had a search warrant. A safety search was done and members exited the home. I read the search warrant to Benesk Giannis, as Major Parkinson videotaped the search warrant execution. Interior decorators were located in the house. I spoke with Mark Zaff of 515 West 20th Street in New York. Mr. Zaff stated he is the designer for Mr. Epstein's homes. He advised he was contacted in March of 2005 to do a complete overhaul of the house. That's when the investigation started, was March. That's why he thinks he had a snitch. That's why I believe there was a snitch for Epstein in that freaking office. He advised he was on the phone with Mr. Epstein when officers announced the search warrant. Mr. Epstein was made aware of the search warrant. Mr. Zaff advised his contact with Epstein is strictly business and he has never witnessed Epstein with any other girls except for his assistants, Sarah or Nadia. Let's go back when he says, here, the guest house section had open doors and no forced entry was made. That takes me back to anybody who's watched like Animal Kingdom on Netflix. Obsessed. I finished it finally. I was obsessed. But when Jay is approached by the officers, the police, and they're about to raid Smurf's house, and Smurf lets the door open so they don't breach it and break it down. That's what that reminds me of. Anyway, let's continue. I then interviewed Daniel Estes. 315 East 14th Street in New York. Why are all these people from New York here all of a sudden? Mr. S stated he has worked for Zaff for 7 years. Oh, so he's like an assistant to Zaff. He advised he personally worked on the New York and Palm Beach home for Mr. Epstein. He has previously met with Sarah and Adriana, Epstein's assistants in New York and in Florida. Estes stated they travel with Epstein everywhere he goes. I interviewed, this is still Detective Joe's. I interviewed Zara Bailey of 35 Riverside, Jersey City, New Jersey. Bailey stated she just arrived from Scotland and has worked with Zeph for only 1 month. She stated she has never met Epstein and has not seen him. The interview has been concluded. So then he goes on to say, I then spoke with Douglas Scholet of 243 Riverside Drive in New York City. Scholet stated he has been Epstein's architect for 7 years. He further stated he deals with Epstein's assistants and speaks with Epstein on the phone. Scholet stated he mainly speaks with Sarah Kellan. Epstein's main assistant who travels with Epstein. Jolette stated he only has contact with Epstein when his services are needed. Now the architect, was he trying to change the house so when the victims were interviewed, he'll be like, that's not what my house looks like? Or like, I don't know, twisted minds of a pedo. Anyway, it goes on to say, at approximately 10:30 a.m., I was informed that the videotaping was concluded. I entered the residence and located two covert hidden cameras. The first camera was a covert wall clock in the garage area. I traced the wire behind the clock and removed the RCA wire and unplugged the camera. The other covert camera was located within the desk clock beside Epstein's desk. I traced the wire behind the clock and unplugged the RCA wire. I could not locate another camera. Then began with the search of the residence for the specified evidence. So he found two cameras, one hidden camera in the garage disguised as a clock and one in his office disguised as another clock. Detective Joe continues to write, my search consisted of the second floor. Detective Kroll and I began in the master bedroom area with several items were located. They were marked to be retrieved by the evidence custodian. In the master desk with Epstein's notepads marked Jeffrey Epstein relocated a high school transcript for blank. Also, why is he keeping this kid's like transcripts? Also in the room was the dresser slash armoire where we located a bottle of peach flavored Joy Jelly lubricant. Additionally, there were several photos of young naked teenage girls within the closet, which was consistent with what the witnesses said. The massage table was also located within the master bedroom. Videotapes were located beside the television, which were also collected. An itemized list of the property and the locations were prepared on the property receipts. At approximately 2:55 p.m., the house was secured. The exit of the residence was videotaped. Upon our exit of the property, I encountered attorney Guy Froston. So this was Epstein's first attorney. Didn't last long. Guy Froston, who advised he was representing Mr. Epstein, he provided a business card and provided his assistance with the investigation. Due to Hurricane Wilma, okay, that was a hurricane that was happening at that time. Due to Hurricane Wilma, which struck South Florida, causing massive power outages, the courthouse was closed due to the lack of power. I was previously told that the chief judge had extended this filing deadline due to the hurricane and the courthouse being closed. On October 27th and 28th, 2005, the courthouse was closed and I could not file the search warrant and inventory at the clerk's office. On October 31st, 2005, I responded to the courthouse and filed the paperwork along with an order to seal signed by Judge Johnson to deny any release of any paperwork on this case. Investigation continues. So what we have here is Officer Joe's information about view of the investigation. Where are we? Just 60 minutes, just over, like it's about an hour for this. What I wanted to show you though, here we go, Exhibit O. Here we go. Here's the property receipt from this search and seizure. Floor plans. So phone message books were taken. Phone message book was taken. File folders, shredded papers, massage tables were taken. Pictures and frames were taken. We've seen those pictures with the images. So this is all the stuff they took. I, Joseph Rackery, the officer to whom this warrant was executed, do swear the above inventory contains are true. So this is the actual receipt that he was able to submit after the warrant. VHS tapes that he spoke of, photos from desks, torpedo in brown box, so toys, more toys at the scene. What else do we have here? Let me make this a little bit bigger. Hard to read. If he wasn't a detective, he could have been a doctor. With this handwriting, school transcript, Joy Jelly, like he was saying, the videotapes, thrifty renter agreement for the car, that he received CDs, zip CDs from bookcases, flash drives were taken out of his house, floppy disks were taken, CPUs, so computer towers from guest bedrooms were taken, videotapes from the guest bedroom. Oh, maybe this is why everyone keeps saying he was videotaping people for thingy, because they took tape videotapes from guest bedrooms were taken from Epstein's message books again, flashcards, CDs, message books, power cords, peach massage table. Looks like he had a lot of massage tables in his house. Well, he got massages, Ghislaine got massages, friends got massages, so. Green photo frame with naked girl. Returned. What's returned? Wonder what that stuff was. Phone books, more frame photos, more massage tables. Yeah, that's about it. The school transcript. I think this is all just kind of like the same information repeated. Green photo. Yeah, it's the same. CDs from, so some of the stuff were returned, some of his CDs. Compact flash disk was returned. Other stuff was copied. This is what was returned and what was copied among the stuff. Okay, now, actually, let's finish. So we have 2 more officers who handled the search and seizure or the warrant. Let's go through them. Next one, so we have the first reporter is Detective Parkinson. Detective Gregory Parkinson writes, on October 20th, 2005, at approximately 8:30 a.m. Thursday morning, I was advised by Captain Gudger that a search warrant would be executed and I was to assemble the crime scene investigative team and stand by the south side of the building ready to go. I designated evidence specialist Annette Badger to handle the inventory return, the documentation of the property receipts, and collection of the bagging of the evidence at the scene. I further instructed CSI Kim Pavlik, ID number, to accompany us and perform the role of photographing the scene and items that may be taken into custody by the affiant, Detective Joseph Ricari. So Detective Parkinson continues to write that my responsibility was to go through from the reading of the warrant to the final exit of the residence and perform a video recording of the reading of the warrant and initial walkthrough of the residence, showing the current condition, and then finally a walkthrough of the residence at the time of the police exit. We started out towards the residence, which was located at 358 El Brio, and arrived at approximately 9:33 a.m. So what time did they start? At 9? So it's like 30 minutes? Oh, 8:30 was when they started getting ready, which was located at, okay, the search was conducted. Items were collected by evidence specialist Badger and Net. And then he goes on to say, photographed by CSI Pavlik, and then videotaped by myself. The search was concluded at approximately 3:05 p.m., whereupon Detective Rick Harry and I were the last 2 officers in the house. Upon securing the residence, we met with the gentleman who identified himself to Detective Ricari as the lawyer for the defendant, Guy Frostham. And he was informed that the residence was secured and that copies of the inventory return had been left on the first floor table of the personal assistance office. Detective Ricari and I returned to the police headquarters and secured for the day. So that brings us to a conclusion of Detective Parkinson's accounts of that day. Okay, now we go on to Detective Dawson's report of the day of the search warrant, just Detective Dawson's report. Detective Dawson has been, was with Detective Joe for a lot of it. Detective Dawson writes, on October 20th, 2005, I assisted Detective Ricari in the execution of a search warrant at 358 El Brea Way, Palm Beach 33480. Upon the announcement of the search warrant, immediate contact was made with 3 white males who came out of the house or surrounding structures. Those males were identified as Giannis, Daniel Estes, and Mark Zeff. As other members of the police department cleared the home, I kept watch over these three males. Once the house was cleared, those males were turned over to Detective Ricari. Detective Dix and I were assigned to assist in the search of the main house, the cabana, and the servants' quarters. We started in the garage. All areas of the garage were searched to include 4 vehicles. These vehicles were 3 black Mercedes-Benz cars registered to Jeffrey Epstein. The 4th vehicle was a Harley-Davidson motorcycle, green in color, registered to Jeffrey Epstein. Nothing was recovered from the garage. If you guys could hear my stomach right now. A towel closet and pantry located off the kitchen were searched and yielded negative results. All right, back to it. The kitchen was searched and taken into evidence was a phone message book that was located near a house phone. North of the kitchen was an office room which contained a computer. The room had a closet that contained a locked gun locker. The combination was entered by Banasiak in the presence of Sergeant Frick, and the safe was opened. Items were taken from the room. See the completed property receipt for a detailed list. A green bathroom located on the first floor was searched and nothing was taken. A closet located just west of the green bathroom was searched. 2 massage tables were located in the closet along with a photo of a nude female from the waist up. See property receipt for details. I searched 2 bedrooms and their adjoining bathrooms, which were located on the second floor of the east side of the house. In the northeast bedroom closet, I found adult sex toys called twin torpedoes. What's a twin torpedo? Soap made in the shape of penis and vagina were also found in these upstairs bedrooms. See the property receipt for details. I searched the pool cabana located on the south side of the pool. Photos were taken from the wall. See the property receipt for details. I assisted in the search for Banasiak's living quarters. Numerous CDs along with a message book was seized. See the property receipt for details. Now we get into like the fuckery that happens between Epstein's lawyers. Dershowitz goes into play. We get introduced to the attorney's office and all the stupid stuff that happened in the middle. With it, we will continue with that. Yeah, we're going to video number 4 with narrative number 15. Once again, make sure if you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button so you can follow along with the entire investigation from 2005 to 2019. Guys, we are revealing names. It's time to actually reveal the Epstein files for reals. Get rid of the rhetoric. You do not want rhetoric or sensationalism, but interested in the facts of what happened, hit subscribe once again. Substack has been formulated. Members, there's a free tier with a less PG version of the video to give you a more wholesome, a whole look of the entire investigations. I am keeping the super sensitive materials off YouTube. I will also be uploading the documents, evidence documents, show notes, and everything over at Substack. Thank you again for helping us continue to fight, giving the victim stories and voices back and revealing the truth. I am Sonia, and this is the Unredacted Truth. See you next time.